are in the Air and Space Museum. And there is a lot of planes to look at. Looks like we can go in that Boeing one. Or did we just come out of that Boeing one? I think we just came out of there. No.
No, we came out of this one.
Oh, okay. We got the plane. Huh? The engine? Good. Oh, and we got a satellite.
Yeah.
Hello friends, welcome to Stories with Aunt C. Today we're going to be reading a really fun book, Bonnie's Rocket. So on my recent trip to Washington DC, I saw the National Air and Space Museum. It was so cool. I got to see the first airplane that flew. I got to see things that were really in space, like a spacesuit that was walked on the moon, or a spaceship that returned from the moon and got all the way down to Earth. It was there, like behind the glass. It was there. It was awesome. I'm gonna show you guys some really fun videos and from photos, but I wanted to read Bonnie's Rocket because it is about the first trip to the moon. The first trip to the moon was by Apollo 11. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna scooch over so you guys can see the whole picture. All right, Bonnie's Rocket. Bonnie was designing a magnificent rocket ship, just like her father, hundreds of miles away. Oh, so it looks like Bonnie's here, and her dad is at an office designing a rocket too. Baba was an engineer for NASA's Apollo 11 space mission. For the next 10 months, he had to work far from home to help build the first spacecraft to take people to the moon. Before he left, Baba gave Bonnie an engineering notebook to record her progress towards a successful rocket launch. She planned to show him the spectacular results when he returned. It would take a lot of work, but Bonnie loved a challenge. A lot of drawings. Let's see. Still, Bonnie missed Baba. She missed laughing at his funny stories. She missed bike riding to the park together. But most of all, she missed talking with him about everything from fluffy pancakes to far-off planets. One day, she received a letter in the mail. October 25th, 1968. Dear Bonnie, I've missed you, May and Mama very much since I've been away. At the Space Center, we've just completed the Apollo 7 mission, which sent 3 astronauts into orbit around Earth. The astronauts spent 11 days in space to test the ship before we try for the moon. How's your rocket coming along? Love, Baba. Apollo 7, that was a real mission. And they did. They just went around the Earth in a spaceship. They didn't go to the moon yet. Bonnie soon finished stage 1 of her project, the design. She jumped straight into stage 2, the build. Look, they're designing and building their rocket. Oh, here's another letter. December 18th of 1968. Dear Bonnie, I wish I could be home with you for Christmas, but we're on a tight schedule to finish the spacecraft in time for the launch. The astronauts are depending on us to build a safe ship, so we are testing every part thoroughly. Although we're not together this year, I'm sending you a special present and a big warm hug. Love, Baba. When Bonnie opened Baba's gift, she discovered an engineer's treasure chest, a compass and a protractor, along with a tape measure, safety goggles, and a huge roll of duct tape. It was exactly what she needed to complete her ship. Just like Baba worked with a team of engineers, Bonnie had a team of her own. Once she and her friends finished building the ship, they prepared for stage 3, the test. They set up the slingshot and counted down the launch. Oh, they're gonna slingshot their rocket to space. Let's see. But the rocket did not travel very far at all. Oh no, there it is on the ground. All right, February 7th of 1969. Dear Bonnie, I'm sorry to hear that your first rocket launch wasn't successful, but even NASA's best engineers have to test their rockets many times over before they work properly. Each test reveals clues about what needs fixing. Keep up the good work. Love, Baba. When Bonnie and her friends completed stage 4, the analysis, they realized their rocket needed a stronger boost. Bonnie remembered a model volcano that she had once made with Baba. Using baking soda and vinegar, she could create a fizzy chemical reaction that would shoot the rocket up into the sky. Oh, do you think that would work? Let's see. But the blast turned out to be a little too explosive, and now they had to start all over. Oh no, they exploded their rocket. April 15th of 1969. Dear Bonnie, don't be discouraged by going back to the beginning. Remember that the engineering process can take a while for anyone. NASA's teams have been working on Project Apollo for years. It may take some time and patience, but I know you'll figure it out. Love, Baba. The next day, as Bonnie biked home from school, she hit a bump in the road. Air hissed out of the tire, and everything seemed to be going wrong. After patching up her tire, Bonnie used a pump to inflate it. The rush of air gave her a new idea for the rocket launch. Bonnie and her friends crafted a brand new rocket ship. They poured some water inside and used the bike pump to fill it with air. The pressure within the ship built and built until the rocket sprang up on a jet of mist. Eureka! Oh, look, the rocket launched. June 26th of 1969. Dear Bonnie, congratulations! I can't wait to see your rocket reach the sky. And your ideas for cutting down the weight to achieve even more height next time sounds very promising. At Mission Control, we are at T-minus 20 days until Apollo 11 launch. We're all a bit nervous about the moon landing, but I have a good feeling about it. Love, Baba. Finally, the day of the Apollo 11 launch arrived. Everyone watched as the enormous rocket lifted off of the billowing cloud of smoke. Oh, look, they watched the rocket launch on TV. Sorry, Aunt C's stuffy today. All right, here we go. This is the Neil Armstrong walking on the moon on the TV. And then here's a newspaper. You may read it. It says, July 21st, 1969. Astronauts land on the moon. Yesterday, American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. The historic moment was broadcast to approximately 1 second. So sorry. I just wanted to be able to read without the dogs barking anymore, so I let them out of the room at least. All right, let me start over. Yesterday, American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. The historic moment was broadcast to approximately 650 million people across the world. As Armstrong took his first steps on the lunar surface, he announced, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." There we go. Perfect. So, it did happen, and they did land on the moon. And it was super cool. You see them on the moon? There we go. All right. After the astronauts returned safely to Earth, Baba came home at last. There he is. Everyone gathered in the backyard for the long-awaited launch of Bonnie's rocket. Oh, look at how high it is. I like it. Bonnie, you've built an extraordinary rocket ship, Baba said, and you still have some blank pages left in your engineering notebook. I already have an idea for my next project, she told him. It would take a lot of work, but Bonnie loved a challenge. And look, there's a moon rover. All right. The story of Bonnie and Baba is inspired by the life of my grandfather, Lao Tung Kwan. who worked as an engineer for the Apollo 11 space mission during which astronauts first landed on the moon. He was born in China in 1929 and immigrated to the United States at age 23 to pursue job opportunities and support his family. In the mid-1960s, he began working at the Grumman Aerospace Corporation in Bethpage, New York, where he and his team helped design and build lunar modules for NASA's Apollo space program. The first LM to transport astronauts to the surface of the moon was named the Eagle. My grandfather's team of engineers was responsible for designing the life support system in the lunar module and the spacesuits worn by the astronauts. Even in the excitement of implementing new technologies for the space program, he always guided by the motto, "Human safety comes first." His job required him to spend some time away from his family, traveling between Kennedy Space Center in Merritt Island, Florida, and the Mission Control Center in Houston, Texas. From the launch of July 16, 1969, until splashdown 8 days later, he remained on call with Mission Control to help monitor the temperature, air pressure, humidity, and oxygen supply levels within the spacesuits and the lunar module. In addition to the success of the first lunar landing, my grandfather's other memorable experiences include Apollo 13 mission, during which the oxygen tank unexpectedly exploded in the main spacecraft while in space. The accident forced the astronauts to rely on the lunar module as their lifeline, and my grandfather was one of the engineers who helped Mission Control manage the LM's oxygen supply during the perilous journey home. The safe return of the Apollo 13 crew amid dire circumstances remains one of NASA's greatest achievements. The Apollo space program demonstrated the power of a diverse nation working together towards a common goal. The program's legacy continues to fuel dreams of space exploration and inspire current and future generations of innovators to push the boundaries of scientific discovery and cooperation. So that's the author's note. So the author who wrote the book, her name is Emeline Lee. She is the granddaughter of this man who helped build some of the things I saw at the museum. Isn't that super cool? I got this at my library, and I'm sure that you can find it at your library too if you want to see it and all the pictures a little bit closer. And we're gonna skip over to the videos of me at the Air and Space Museum. Okay, all right, here we go. Hi, we're in the Air and Space Museum, and this is a real capsule that was in space. It landed in the ocean, and then the Navy picked it up. There we go. It is Michael Collins, was the guy that was in he didn't get to go on the moon, but he was in the spaceship. Ready for him. That's his spacesuit. Now I have some more of this spacesuit. Looking at what was the coolest thing you saw at the museum today?
Armstrong's spacesuits.
Oh yeah, that was super cool. Hi Joe, what was your favorite thing that you saw at the Air and Space Museum today?
My favorite part was the planetarium.
That was super fun. What did we watch?
We watched, what was it? Worlds Beyond Earth. So we learned about Mars and Venus and Jupiter and Saturn. And then we went all the way back to Earth.
Cool.
What was your favorite part of the Air and Space Museum?
My favorite part of the Air and Space Museum was probably seeing the actual space capsule that Neil Armstrong and the other guys came down after they did their space flight, because it was all burned up and it landed in the ocean and they brought it out of the ocean and they brought it to the museum. That was really fun.
Wow, that was so cool.
So cool.
Good choice.